Hey world, welcome back and welcome to the Recovered Files with your one and only host, Mackenzie Taylor. Hey y'all, hey. Listen, y'all already know what it is. If you are listening, if you are tuning in, if you are watching on the YouTube platform, big shout out to you. Thank you all so much for your support, and I cannot wait to catch you over on the next episode of the Recovered Files. Now, listen, I'm not here to get all sentimental on you all, not just yet, but this is a teaser to let you know we are getting towards the end of season 2. So, we'll save that for the files that are to come, but I hope you all are enjoying so much of what season 2 has to offer as much as I have been able to create it and share it with you all in community. And this leads me into kind of what we're going to talk about today. We have all been in that space before, right? Where you have caught yourself thanking God, thanking your lucky stars that something that you really anticipated or something that you really wanted to happen, you're like, thank goodness that it didn't happen and it didn't turn out the way that I was expecting it to, because it wouldn't even be all that I imagined it to be, right? So, as we are about to get into this topic, this is truly a recovered file, okay? It is definitely in the name because this first dawned upon me with one of my best friends, Nia, and this was way back in 2022, so college days. And it also kind of came around the time where, Hamilton was big and it was popping up. And there's this quote in Hamilton that says, legacy is planting seeds in a garden that you'll never see. And it was so profound. I'll give you all a minute just to like sit with that and really figure out what that means to you. But without further being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Today's file is file 18, and it is called Seeds and Fruits. This is such a sentimental one, you guys. What I want to break this down into as simply put as it is, the day you plant the seed is not the same day that you eat the fruit. And me and my best friend, we was just yapping and talking about life's woes and everything that came with it at the time. And it's really been a message that I have kept inside of my journal. And even when I was thinking of season 2 and kind of brainstorming ideas, it was something that I definitely wanted to bring back up. And now feels such like a fitting time in my life where I am truly able to live presently and what that means. The day you plant the seed is not the same day that you bear the fruit. And because that's so profound, let's go ahead and jump into that, right? Let's talk about seeds. I as I grow older, I'm definitely understanding the importance of what it means to be intentional, right? To be intentional about my life, to be intentional about the company that I keep, to be intentional about how I love on myself, how I show up, how I talk to myself. Realizing when people be like, girl, it ain't that deep, you realize that, wait, actually, it is that deep. Actually, everything is that deep. It really, really is. And it gets to that point where, especially in this time in my life, when I look and I think about my future of what is it that I want for myself, what is it that I want the world around me to look like and feel like, I was like, girl, you got to start planting some seeds. And then I was like, well, hold on. Like, let me not take all the credit away from myself. You've been planting seeds. All right. And so, even to anybody who is watching this as well, you have been planting seeds in your life, whether you've known it or not. But with this file today, we're going to talk about how we can kind of catch up to the seeds that we have been planting and the fruit that we have been eating and set a track for ourselves, especially going into this new season of our lives, of how we can do that with intentionality. If you actually want to bear a dragon fruit, or if you want to bear a pear, then you can't just keep settling for apples and oranges. You have to get more specific and you have to get more intentional. So let's start with kind of the main seed that is the bulk or and vision mission of my life, whatever the word is technically, right? Me starting off in high school, me starting off young, realizing that I had this talent for performance and this love for entertainment. You think I knew where it was going to take me? I have been hearing for as long as I can imagine. Okay, well, what's your plan B? Because entertainment's not really that stable, especially if you want to be an actress and go after it and all of these things. I knew what my talent was. I knew what I enjoyed doing and made me feel alive and worth doing something and a purpose in this life. I said, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is plan A. There is no plan B because plan A is going to work and we're just going to figure out as I go along. And here I am all of these years later, outside of high school, outside of college, into full blown adulthood. And I can even see now that in the opportunities that I have in my life, the jobs that I get to work, the jobs that I am working part time or full time, any of those things, I am living in or I am bearing the fruit of a seed that I planted. Hello? Hello? And that just makes me, that literally fills my heart to say because we don't have all the answers. No matter where we are in our life, we never know how things are going to plan out. And that's what we say. You can tell God your plans and he'll laugh at them, okay? Especially if it's not aligned in the greater purpose of things. But when you plant a seed and you know exactly what you want to see grow from it, you leave room for that garden to blossom and to make room for more seeds to be planted. So that's just kind of one area and one seed, right? Another seed I want to talk about is, especially with me growing up and being in my 20s as well, being intentional once upon a time of what I wanted in relationships. And listen, all my girls listening, I know you all can relate with this, okay? Let's just have like a little girl moment, girl talk really quick. With our relationships, we are growing up in the era, if you're anything around my age, or even if you're not, because I feel like this can transcend time. But when it comes to having a partner and when it comes to having relationships, whether that be in love, whether that be in family, it's always, sometimes we look at things of like, let's just have a good time. Let's have a good time because we're not here for a long time. And even though they might be, what's the word that I'm looking for? Very, uh, like a quick satisfaction. Like it'll quench your thirst for the moment, but you're still thirsty. You get what I'm saying? It was one of those things where, I was like, you know what? As much as I want to be a fun girl, as much as I want to have a hot girl summer, I am a lover girl at heart. And I truly am that person who wants to be in a relationship. I want to have that 90s love. And the second I started being honest with myself about that, I was able to plant that seed in my life of, okay, if I want honesty, if I want reciprocity, if I want a certain character and certain actions to accompany me, I have to plant those seeds. I can't go into any relationships. I can't keep going into friendships thinking, oh, this is a fun time and you can do this and you can do that. And it's not strict around here. There's no boundaries because, hello, everybody's catching on. You need to have a program and people need to be with the program. But that's a seed that you have to be intentional about planting because you don't know when that fruit is going to bear. Does that make sense? I think I just made that up, but I don't know if I use that in the right sequence, but you should follow. You should get what I'm saying. Um and so even going forward to this point in time in my life of knowing about the seeds that I want to plant and the people that I love, the love of God over my life has been so transformative. And if you know, you know, if you are in my circle, there is not a conversation that is going to come up where I don't give praises to my Savior. It's just not going to happen. That is my experience. I know what the Lord has done for me. And if anybody in my life is dealing with confusion, is dealing with loss, is feeling disconnected from themselves or from life. I can't be the one to give you all the answers, but hello, I know somebody who do. I know somebody who does. And so even when it's not about forcing other people to see things the way that you see it. Everybody may have a different faith or religion or what they pray to or what they believe in. That is fine. But when you plant a seed in people, it's like, hey, this is something that I feel will better you, or this is something that I feel like can actually be an advantage to your life to help you. I can't, that it's the tell as old as time. You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. But if you go ahead and you plant that seed and you're planting it with love and intention, then it's not on you to clock the time or to be waiting around to see when something is going to bloom, but it's to let it come to fruition in its own time. And then lastly, I kind of want to talk about when we talk about seeds is the future. Everyone, wherever you are, whoever is listening to this, the future is ahead of us, and it's hopeful, and it does something for us as humans to be able to look towards the future. But even if you have lived a life up until this point where you're okay with or you're only mildly satisfied, the way that you see things in the future of what you feel like you deserve, of what you want to be able to obtain, you have to do things intentionally. And if that includes the way that you move, if you got to move different, if you got to change the tune of your sound, then know that you doing that is planting that seed. And even I had to do that at one point in shift of my career of like, hey, I'm doing something that I like and that I appreciate, but is this where I really, really want to be years down the line? Or do I want to start making some strides? Do I want to start adding some bricks to my houses that can make a castle for me? And how do I intend to do that? Yeah, I'm going to face some rejection. Yeah, it might be lonely. Yeah, it might be confusing. Yeah, I might be going through the forest for a little while, but if I know the seed that I am planting and I continue to water it and I continue to go after it, then at some point, at some time, fruit has to bear. And having that belief that once you put your all into something, when you put a seed into something, knowing that it will grow and knowing that it will come into fruition. And before we transition this topic and start talking about when fruits, when we actually get to eat it, when we actually feel on top of the mountain and we're no longer in the valley and everything is all peaceful and smooth sailing, you also have to realize in the process of you planting a fruit, when you planting a seed, you can't be pocket watching your seed. Okay, listen, I'm like making up all the craziest phrases right now, but if you follow, that's all that matters. Of you can't be expectant or put harsh conditions on your seed growing, because then it won't grow. For any people who are plant mamas and plant papas out there, listen, if you actually take care of something, whether it be a dog, whether it be plants, whether it be anything, okay, you know that it has to be in a certain temperature, you know that it has to be under a certain environment, you know, all of these different things that is going to make sure that the plants that you have are able to grow to their best ability. Because if you put them in the shade for 2 hours, they are going to be dramatic, they are going to die, leaves are going to fall, and it's going to be a hot mess. But that's because you have to be submissive to the seed that you are planting. You get what I'm saying? The vision that you are planting for yourself that you see in your future, you have to also kind of relinquish control and kind of step back and let it bloom into something that is more so than what you thought it could be. And that's how I want to bring it back to the first kind of few sentences that I said at the beginning of this podcast. How many times have you found yourself in situations where you're like, oh my God, thank God that I actually didn't get my way? Because now that I think about it, if I would have gotten my way the way I wanted to, it wouldn't have even been as sweet as I wanted it to be. And so You have to treat your life like that when it comes to relationships, when it comes to career, when it comes to self love, when it comes to all of these things that you aspire for in life, of being patient and knowing that if you planted the seed, then the time that it's supposed to bloom and it's time for you to eat that fruit will come at the exact time. And that's what makes life so much sweeter, I feel like, because it didn't happen because you controlled it. It happened because it was meant to happen. And how much more poetic and fulfilling is that in the long run, anyway? Now, transitioning that, let's talk about the fruits. I have been so fortunate to really sit back on my life. And as I'm starting to think ahead, and maybe it's just the hustle in me of like, what's the next thing? Let's go after the next thing. But even thinking about this topic and really taking time and thinking about, wow, I know I still got some ways to go, but if I can really just sit with the fruits that I've actually have gotten to eat, the fruits that have actually come into my life. When I planted that seed when I was in high school and I was young, of what I wanted to do in my career, of what made my heart skip a beat, it has been able to grow and flourish into so many things, you all. Not only have I had amazing experiences acting and being on different sets, but I've been able to translate that skill of using my voice and the power of my voice and not feeling empowered only when I am in character, but feeling empowered as myself, to living a life that is so full and rich outside of just one avenue of how I knew to do things at one point. I thought when I started off, when I planted the seed, that there was only one way to pursue that heart skip feeling that I just wanted to pursue after. Now that I'm in adulthood, now that I am trying all the different hats on and the shoes and seeing how it fits into my life, thank God I didn't have so much control over how the seed blossomed and what type of fruit I was going to get, because now I don't have just an apple tree. I have apples, I have pears, I have apricots, I have all of these different ranges of beautiful fruit that has came from one seed that I planted because I allowed it to blossom into whatever whatever it could be, instead of just demanding it to be one thing. When I talk about planting the seed about honesty in relationships, I feel like I was at my point where I did have fun and I was exploring situations where I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to last long, or maybe this person isn't my type. And when I really planted the seed of, you know what, no, I do want something true. I don't just want the what's the trend right now. Um, I want something that's for me. And I don't know, it was a seed that wasn't so much physically planted as it was just kind of internally planted in me. Okay, because sometimes we're so busy, we can plant seeds for other people, we can plant seeds in other people for other things, but also sometimes the best seeds you need to plant is inside of yourself. And the seed that I planted inside myself is, no, I want something that's honest, I want something that is long lasting, and something that is true to me. And literally out of the blue, when I wasn't expecting it, that's where I feel like my soulmate came into my life. Another fruit that I was able to bear. I was like, what? What? That still blows my mind to this day. And it's like, we catch ourselves in certain situations, whether it comes to other people or certain experience, and be like, oh my God, how did I get this job? How did I even get this partner? How did I end up in this situation, without even taking a second to step back and think, did I plant this seed? Is this fruit that I am bearing because I have been able to do this intentionally for myself? More things that we have to sit with, more things we have to talk about in community, because it's a real thing. How do we support? How do we show up for one another? It's by planting seeds. It's about being conscious and not just kind of letting life pass you by and going with the trends and just flowing around. It's about, no, pause, take a look at what's around you, take a look at where you are, where you want to be, how you want to get there, and you plant that seed and you keep going, and you will be surprised at the garden that you end up having. Going forward, even in the relationships that you have, whether that be in friendships, whether that be with family, or whether that be with your partner, we are all going through something that nobody else knows. We are all struggling with something. And if you can plant love in somebody else, if you can plant understanding, if you can plant forgiveness, if you can do all of these things for other people, it doesn't mean that whoever you're trying to do it for, it's just going to happen automatically. And that goes back to the point of, you can't be pocket watching your seeds. You can't be season watching of like, okay, well, I planted you in the winter, so it's spring now. What's going on? That's not for you to do. A flower doesn't need your permission to bloom. A fruit doesn't need your permission to be like ripe and ready to eat. It doesn't. It doesn't. So you doing that extraness is null and void essentially. And so when we think about the seeds that we plant in other people, I feel like the more that I have been able to really sit with that topic and kind of come full circle with that topic as I grow older, of the seeds and fruits, I see the fruits that are blossoming in the tribe that I have around me, and it makes me full, because it's like, wow, I to see a season come to full term. It's one thing to see it in yourself, but to also see it in the people that you love as well too. Nothing beats that feeling. Nothing beats that feeling. And so I definitely wanted to talk about this topic, and I'm really more interested in you all's experience with seeds and fruits in your life, because I know everyone is coming from different perspectives and different seasons of their life as well too. And have you taken the time to really sit with yourself and realize the seeds and the fruits that you have been able to bear? What are the fruits that you are eating? What are the fruits that you want to grow that you haven't had an experience doing? And when we talk about legacy in reference to Hamilton, legacy is planting seeds in a garden that you'll never see. Maybe that's another topic, in the sense of you planting seeds for what comes after you. Legacy is a big word to me, and it holds a lot of weight in my heart, of not just how I want to be of legacy to the people who know me, but to the imprint that I put on the world through my artwork, through my voice, through my experience. What legacy does that leave for anyone who comes to find me? For anyone who wants to find that fruit, who for anyone who wants to think about the seed that they want to plant. What fruit am I? Now listen, I've made a lot of analogies so far, and I know probably in my head maybe I'm overthinking it. I feel like some of the things that I have said can sound a little silly, but just like I said before, when your frontal lobe starts to develop, you really start to understand everything is that deep. And if I have to be the cringy person, if I have to be the one to take that lash of like, hey, it's just super cringy, I'll do that. But everything is that deep. Okay, so when you look upon your life and you want to know the seeds and the fruits, you can just look around you. Look at the company that you keep. Look at where you are in comparison to where you said you would be 2, 3 years ago. You know, look at your heart posture, look at your character, look at what you are putting out. If you are only giving, this is just fun, good time, not a long time energy, but you want like a difference to come back of like, no, that's actually not what I want. Then what seeds are you planting, Miss Girl? Somebody got to be there to look out for you. Somebody got to be there to tell you what is actually going on. Are you tapped in? Are you tuned in? But it's all coming from a place of love. So, I'm checking in. I always hope y'all are doing really well. And I really want to know, especially at this time of our life, I know it's coming around the holiday seasons. We're about to approach going into 2026. This is the time, y'all. Everyone talks about New Year's resolutions. If you need an excuse for a clean slate, here it is: seeds and fruits. What seeds are you planting, and what fruits are you expecting to bear from it? Because the same day that you plant the seed is not the same day that you bear the fruit. So if you are thinking longevity, if you are really aiming for legacy, and you don't know the time or the date when that is going to bloom, then you got to plant that seed now, and it has to be your responsibility to water it and water it and water it as if it's coming for you tomorrow. And even if it doesn't, that's none of your business. But you have to be in a posture to receive when it does come up. Hello? All right, that's it for me today. I love y'all. Remember, you can always keep up with the conversation afterwards on the Instagram at the Recovered Files. You can also drop some love in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I can't wait to catch y'all over on the next one. I love y'all. Peace. I'm not liking it. Sorry. I don't feel like getting back up, so we'll just jump back into it.